What is up, everybody? This is Ken from Mid-Level Media here for an impromptu late night physical media talk review event unboxing, whatever you want to call this. I am here tonight live for your guys' viewing enjoyment here on Wednesday. What is it? March the 3rd. We are going to talk about some new Blu-rays, some new horror Blu-rays that have come out recently because I've got a lot of stuff that I get from Best Buy week to week. You guys see it when I go to the Best Buys and buy these new Blu-rays, and I'm always like, well, yeah, maybe I'll give that a review later. Well, it gets a little bit too hard, and all these start to stack up, and I'm just like, why don't I just go live and talk about each one of these releases just in a live stream and just do it that way? Make it a lot easier on myself. Make it easier for you all to come in here to tune in to see my thoughts on these. And yeah, we got three titles that we're going to talk about here tonight. I've got Host, which is an RLJE title. I've got Wrong Turn, which is a Lionsgate title. And I've got Random Acts of Violence, which is also a Lionsgate title as well. So I'm going to, if you've guys seen any of my reviews that I've done on here, I'm going to bring in my scores. I've made graphics and everything for them. So it's going to be just like my regular review videos, only I'm just going to do them all at once right here. So if there are people joining us live, we have Patrick Coran here. He says, hello again. What is up, Patrick? How are you doing tonight? We can also talk some physical media. I'd like to get through these reviews first, and then we can talk a little bit about whatever you guys want to talk about. I don't know. I've got a beer here tonight. I'm going to keep it kind of casual. I call this Beers and Blu-rays with Ken. That's the new show right here on Wednesday nights. So yeah, if you're watching the replay, I'll try to put some time codes down at the bottom if you guys just want to go straight to the reviews of the individual Blu-rays. If you're not interested in Host and you only want to hear about Wrong Turn, I'll put those time codes below. That way you can skip to those individual reviews. I'll do that after the stream goes off. And I'm also got purchase links, or I should have purchase links for all of these releases down below. So, if I recommend them to you, if you would use those purchase links, they are affiliate links that will help the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. So yeah, use those affiliate links if you are interested in what I have to say about these Blu-ray releases. I didn't get these sent to me by Lionsgate or RLJE. I bought these myself. So I really have no stake in the matter. So I'm going to be completely honest here with all of these reviews. So let's see. Patrick Coran says Wrong Turn is a great movie. So while I'm waiting, maybe some other people will join us. I did get some new Blu-rays here today. So I'm going to unbox these. I got a package here. So I don't want to show my address, but I got a package here. So I'm going to unbox these and show off these Blu-rays to you guys real quick, just as we're getting warmed up before I talk about these releases. So let's see. I'll show you what I got fresh out of the package. Don't you love that? That Blu-ray smell, that fresh Blu-ray smell straight out of the package. So I've recently started a Sidney Lumet series on my Instagram page. If you guys follow me over at Mid-Level Media, Mid-Level Movie Reviews, I'm doing a month where I'm going back and revisiting all of those classic Sidney Lumet films. I watched Dog Day Afternoon this morning. That's a terrific film. I'm going to be reviewing that on my Instagram. So another one that I got is another Al Pacino film, and this is Serpico. So yeah, never seen this movie before, but it was only $8 on Amazon, so I went ahead and grabbed that for the event. And I also got another classic Sidney Lumet film. I got Network. So this is one that a lot of people point to as just one of the greatest films of all time. I've never seen it. I've never seen anything from this director. I haven't seen 12 Angry Men. I'd never seen Dog Day Afternoon before today, but that was an excellent movie. So I'm excited to dive into more of his filmography for sure. This one I got because it was cheap, and I don't own it, and I've never seen it. So this is a classic Western, I believe, from the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. I'm not seeing the release date on it, but yeah, I believe it's in the 90s, but it's got Val Kilmer. It's got Kurt Russell in it, so it's good if it's got Kurt Russell in it. So yeah, if you guys are just joining, I'm just going into some of the Blu-ray pickups that I got today, fresh in the mail, and then we're going to go into these reviews of these titles. Yeah, like I said, I just thought I would kind of put all of these together in some kind of review. I've never done like live Blu-ray reviews like this before, so I'm gonna do my best here. But Let's go ahead and get started because we got, let's see, we got a couple other people in here. You got Patrick Rand says, that speech that Chadwick Boseman's wife gave was super sad. I didn't watch that. I need to go back and see that, to be honest with you. Did you watch the SpongeBob musical on DVD? No, I did not, Patrick. I did not watch that. Manny Legault said Tombstone is a great movie, possibly my favorite Western movie. Yeah, I'm excited to buy it. And this is one of those catalog releases that dropped really low in price. So yeah, I recommend picking this one up if you guys are interested. I think this was only like $7 right now on Amazon if they still got copies of it. But that's one that probably I would think is going to get a 4K at some point. But I don't know. I could be wrong. So let's go ahead and get into some of these Blu-ray reviews, guys. So, and like I said, if you're watching on the replay and you don't want to hear all the mumbo jumbo, I'm going to try to do these as concise as I can. So when I'm in the middle of the Blu-ray review, I probably won't address the chat. I will afterwards. That way it's kind of replay friendly for those that just want to do the replay. So the first one that I'm going to get into though, and I'm going to bring up some fancy graphics for you guys here in a second. Let me see. But the first one we're going to talk about is Host. And I watched this last night. Let's see. All right. Bear with me. Bear with me for a second. Bear with me for just a second. All right. So here we go. I don't know if I want to use that screen or not. I might minimize it down to this. Who knows? So yeah, I'll leave it like this. But the first one I'm going to talk about is Host. And this is a release by RLJE Entertainment. So they do a lot of work with Shudder because they produce a lot of their Shudder originals. They bring them to Blu-ray. So this was a Shudder original that dropped, I believe, in the middle of last summer. I think this came out of like June or July. Everybody was raving about this film. Why do I got the wrong turn review? I'm reviewing Host. Okay, Host review. Here we go, guys. Let's get into it. Technical difficulties. I don't know what I'm doing. I will freely admit that right here. But Host, yeah, this is a movie that came out right in the middle of the quarantine, or like right after it happened. This was written, directed, shot, performed, all that stuff put out to the masses all during the quarantine. This was an idea that they came up with while in Zoom call meetings with each other. And they said, you know, maybe why don't we be the first people to put out a movie in the pandemic? So yeah, it was really interesting, fascinating to go watch these special features on here and just see how they all came together to make this movie. The directors of this movie are Rob Savage, Gemma Hurley, Rob Savage, and Jed Shepard all wrote this film. So yeah, like I said, this came out last year in June. Everybody raved about this film. It had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes at one point. I'm not exactly sure if it still has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. But yeah, I watched this movie. It's only like an hour long. It was like 55 minutes. They added some extra footage on the end of it, which made it like 107 minutes. But I will just say that this movie scared the living shit out of me. And I'm kind of a sucker for these kind of like found footage, screen life kind of movies, like the Unfriended movies I like a lot too. Even the Dark Web I thought was pretty good, even though that one wasn't really as supernatural as the first one was. But yeah, this whole screen life thing, this one, of course, taking place all on Zoom. It's like what I would say it's a seance movie, kind of a paranormal seance type movie. They do a seance over Zoom, and then things go horribly wrong, of course, as they should, or you wouldn't have a horror movie. But this movie does a really excellent job of really building that tension and that atmosphere throughout this film. Like I said, I turned out all the lights in my living room last night. I popped this thing in. And yeah, this thing had me from beginning to end. The scares in this movie are incredible. There's some really incredible sequences. I don't think it cost them that much to make this, but they have some really great effects work and stunt work in this film. Just considering like when it was made and how they made it. This is a super solid movie. I enjoyed this movie a lot. I don't know if it's like an A+ movie. I wouldn't give this movie like masterpiece status as I would like Paranormal Activity. I'm a huge fan of that one, but this is one that I think a lot of people are going to be talking about for years to come for multiple reasons. One being this was one of the first movies that was put out, taped and filmed and directed and all that stuff during the pandemic. So It's going to be remembered for that. But also, it's just a damn good movie. It's scary. It's concise. It gets to the point real quick. It gets going because it's only an hour long. So it does not take long to get into stuff. And when it gets into it gets into it hard. And yeah, some really effective scenes, some good gore in this movie as well. Not a ton of gore, but just enough to be scary. So yeah, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. To be honest, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's basically 5 friends hanging around, and then they're going to do a seance online. And they bring in the seance expert to kind of help guide them through this. And basically, one of them's like goofing around, and they're like making light of it. And then the woman tells her, "Oh, you shouldn't have made light of this whole situation because now you pissed off the spirits, and they're really going to come through and wreak havoc on you now." And she's like, "Well, isn't that something you should have told us beforehand?" Is the one thing that I would say. But this is a really well done movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So as for the movie review, I'm going to pull up. My my score real quick right here. Let's see. I just had to bring in the fancy stuff with this. So, all right, let's bring it in real quick. All right, stop screen, share screen. I know I'm just so professional with this stuff, aren't I? Let's see. All right. All right, here we go. Here we go. And that's not it. That's not it at all. All right. Let's try this again. Let's try this again because I have all my scores on here and I want to be sure that I include all those so you guys can see them. And yeah, I apologize. Bam. There we go. All right, so let's go over my scoring for this Blu-ray release. So for the movie, I'm going to give the movie a 4.5 out of 5. I think for what it is, for what it accomplishes, it is a damn good movie. It's a scary movie, and that's exactly what you want in your horror films. You want good scares. You want tension. You want atmosphere. This movie brings all of that, in my opinion. It didn't live up to every single amount of hype that I think it built last summer. They were building this movie up to be one of like the best horror movies of all time. I don't think it's that, but it's an extremely effective. I don't know if you call this a found footage film, a screen life film. I know they were trying to make the screen life thing happen a couple of years ago with films like Searching and Unfriended that came out. Just movies that take place like all on screen. Like if a horror movie started happening right here on my computer screen right now, that would be screen life, whereas found footage is more, you filmed it, you shot it, you found the footage later. That's basically what that is. So for the movie, I give this a 4.5 out of 5. So let's go into the packaging of this release because this is an RLJE title right here. You got the slip cover right there. So already that's a plus because you got a slip cover. And then you got this Blu-ray case. I really like the Blu-ray cases that RLJE puts out for some reason. I just like I don't know, it just feels like a nice sturdy case. But the one cool thing about this, so we have the disc right there, but this one, and I have not seen this with any other RLJE release, but this one right here, guys, has reversible cover art. It has reversible cover art, and I have not seen that yet out of an RLJE title. So that is really cool reversible cover art for this release right here that I like a lot. And I like it enough to give this, for the packaging, I give it a 4.5 out of 5. So great packaging for this release. As far as the visuals, guys, like the visuals are pretty incredible. Like I said, it's not the best looking quality, but that's not really the movie's fault. It's taking place all on screens like this, and you do get some distorted, blurry images because there's signals cutting in and out, but that's not the movie's fault. Overall, it's really crisp, really clean presentation. So I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. It is 1080p, HD. It's a Blu-ray. You got the audio, the 5.1 DTS master audio for this. Everything sounded pretty good. Obviously, there's some distortion here and there because this is taking place over Zoom, so it's not as crystal clear as it probably could be if it was just a regular movie. I don't know whether to blame that on the actual audio or just the nature of the film itself, but I'll give the audio a 4.5 out of 5. I think it's solid. As for the features, the special features, I'm giving that a full 5 out of 5 because let me tell you what you're getting with this, guys. This is like almost Scream Factory level special features right here. You are getting an extended cut edition. So with the extended cut edition, you get this extra 10 minutes at the end where they're basically the creators of this film, the actors, the directors, the writers are basically doing a Zoom call themselves. And they actually did a seance to prep for this movie. They had a real life seance person come in there and do this. And they say that something happened, that they felt something touch their shoulder or whatever during this seance on Zoom, the actual real life. And they show the real life footage of this. So they say they took a lot of inspiration from that to include in this movie. And you will see the stuff that supposedly happened in real life. You'll see that kind of play into the film a little bit later on. So that's a great special feature, the extended cut edition. I'm not sure if they ever included that on Shudder, if this is strictly for this Blu-ray release, but they also have some behind the scenes stuff just showing how the movie was made. That's a nice little feature. It's a nice 10 to 15 minute long little feature. And then you get the actual, the seance. They have that kind of clipped in a separate feature. It's with the movie itself. After the actual movie goes off, then they go into that seance, and then they have it clipped for a special feature. Then they have an actual episode of a podcast in here with Bloody Disgusting, the Boo Crew podcast, and they actually do a 20 to 25 minute conversation with the creator of this movie. So there's a lot of really great special features in this, and for an RLJE title, considering I got this movie for $11, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. I think it's a great amount of special features for this little release. So like I said, absolutely recommend this. I give this a 4.5 out of 5 for the overall as far as this release. I think it is awesome. I think it's an incredible movie. It's an awesome release. Tons of great special features. Technically, it looks great, sounds great. The packaging's awesome. It's got freaking reversible cover art. So, I mean, how awesome is that? 4.5 out of 5. Absolutely recommend picking this up. The only bad thing is I said I got it for $11 off Amazon. It's back up to $15 on Amazon, but still, even at $15, I would still recommend picking up this movie. So definitely give Host a shot. It's absolutely worth it in my opinion. So let's go in and see if you guys have anything to say in the comments section. I think we got some people here tonight. So Patrick Coran is here. Its Host is better than some of the biggest some of the bigger horror films. I absolutely agree. And sometimes you'll find that with some of these lower budgeted horror films. Sometimes they can be more effective and scary. It's one of the reasons why I gravitate towards found footage so much, is because I think just the realism of it and the fact that it was shot like it just took place in real life. It's just something that really resonates with me. And I can tell you right now, during the movie Host, I rarely do this. Slasher movies don't do this to me. The next two movies, I'll talk about them in a second, they didn't do this to me. I'm looking over my shoulder every 5 minutes. I'm just looking behind me. And I almost wanted to go into a room I almost went back into this room to watch it so my back could be against something while I watched the film. So it's definitely a good movie. It's a really good horror movie. Manny Legault said, Host is definitely scary. I watched it when it first came out. It generally terrified me. I'm really happy the Blu-ray got released. Yeah, and this Blu-ray got released, I think, at the beginning of February. So it's about a month old. 4K Corner said, got to check this one out then. Yeah, you definitely do, man. Definitely do. And thank you for being here. Phil's Creepy Video says, hey there, horror fans. What is up, Phil? We're actually talking horror exclusively here tonight because I've got these 3 horror Blu-rays that I'm talking about. We got Rev 4K in here. What is up, Ken? What's up, man? We're just talking some horror Blu-rays. Patrick Coran, or a second, I missed one. Talking Cobra Kai is here. What is up? Talking Cobra Kai. Appreciate you being here tonight. He was in that stream I was in earlier this week talking about WandaVision. We're not talking about WandaVision tonight. We're talking about something a little bit more sinister, even though WandaVision has some good horror tones in it as well. So Patrick Coran, I found a Criterion Collection DVD of Grey Gardens at the thrift store today, but I didn't get it because it was all. So I don't know what Grey Gardens is. I'm not familiar with that title. You have to enlighten me on Grey Gardens. Is this something I should be checking out? Jeff Assassin says, I have a Netflix original movie, Extraction, on DVD. I don't think Netflix likes their original content on disc, but if I like and could get it on any disc, I'm getting it. Did you get that from Stinky Tuna? They're the only Blu-ray distribution or Blu-ray distributor that I know of that does that kind of work with the Netflix releases. Other than that, it's probably a bootleg. I found a Criterion Collection DVD of Great Gardens at a thrift store, but I didn't get it because it was all stretched up. Okay. All right, man. So we are going to get into this Wrong Turn review, and you're going to have to bear with me. Anybody that's watching on the replay, I'm definitely sorry, but Wrong Turn review is what we're going to talk about. I talked about this one a little bit on Ken's movie experience this past Sunday, but I didn't really get a chance. It was kind of impromptu. I didn't really get a chance to really do a deep dive into the film, into like the actual Blu-ray aspects and assign it a score and all that stuff. So I'm going to talk about it here today. Let's see. All right, I'm going to pull this image up for you guys real quick. All right, so Wrong Turn. I don't know. Should I make this bigger? Should I make me bigger? Should I make that smaller? Let me know what you guys think in the chat. What you would rather me do. All right, so let's get into Wrong Turn. So Wrong Turn is a movie that came out. I think it's considered a 2021 release, and the Blu-ray just came out in February, but I think this came out on demand in the middle of January sometime. So this is one that I watched last week. This is a Lionsgate release. So one thing I'll point out is this one, not all Lionsgate movies do this, but in particular the A24 films, they don't usually have the Blu-ray, like the blue at the top for the Blu-ray. They usually just incorporate Blu-ray in with the actual cover, and I really like that. So this kind of reminds me of just like an A24 slipcover, which I like, even though it's not an A24 movie. But yeah, this was actually a really good movie, a really solid movie. It's not like masterpiece status. It's not great or anything, but if you're talking about just in the universe of Wrong Turn, I don't think that the Wrong Turn franchise is really as prestigious as some may think. I don't know. It's not like, to me, it's not like a Friday the 13th. It's not like a Nightmare on Elm Street. It's not like one of those that have really stood the test of time. It's just kind of like this niche slasher franchise that's for some reason got a shit ton of sequels. It's got like 6 sequels. I didn't even realize that it had that many sequels, but I don't even know when part 6 came out, but I guess like where are we at now? Like I don't know when it came out, but all these years later, they felt like they felt the need to reboot this. And the one criticism I can give this movie, and this really doesn't have anything to do with the movie, is that it didn't really need to be called Wrong Turn. This movie, they don't take a wrong turn in this movie. They know exactly where they're going. They go to this town. They go hiking. There's no wrong turns in this movie. Something goes horribly wrong while they're hiking up the mountain, but they don't take any wrong turns. So it's not in the same vein as the other ones. It's something completely and wholly different from anything else in the franchise. I don't want to spoil too much with this, but I will say that I'm going to give some light spoilers because it's really hard to talk about this movie without at least spoiling it a little bit. So you have these teens, you have these characters who all get together. They're all the stereotypical high school or fresh out of high school teens that are just kind of going off to party and hike and whatever teens do. You know, that you got 2 couples, 2 guy and girl couples. You got a gay couple. You know, they're not really that fleshed out as far as characters. They're pretty generic. You know, they get the warnings in the town before they go up the mountain. Oh, you shouldn't go up there. There's stuff in those mountains and blah, blah, blah. All the warnings are like, oh, whatever. And then they go up there and there's a big log or like a tree that comes like flying down the hill at them, and it ends up killing one of them. I won't spoil who. And yeah, it just injures a bunch of them. And then they end up getting lost. They don't know where they're at. And then some sinister shit starts to go down. So one thing I'll say, though, it's not. So I'm going to spoil it a little bit. I'm sorry, but I'm going to spoil a little bit. So this isn't like the inbred Hills Have Eyes type enemies, type villains in this movie. They're not like the smartest, most intellectual, but they are civilized in a way. They have a code. They have a nature to them. They are a community of people that have been living in the mountains since the 1850s. They left civilization because they feared the collapse of it, and they wanted to go ahead and get ahead of that and move out on their own. So they've really been just living in the mountains. How they've gotten away with that for all of these years without anybody finding them or anybody reporting them, because everybody in the town seems like they know about this a civilization. So how they've gotten away this long without anybody reporting it or anybody getting it out there and somebody going into the mountains after them, I don't know. Or maybe just people don't care. But pretty much they say that as long as we don't go up in the mountains to bother them, they're not going to bother us. So you have this situation with all these people that go up in the mountains. Some stuff happens. People are dying. They're not dying necessarily in the ways that you think they are. It's not as sinister as you think it might be. It's not just like straight up slasher style. They're dying like other ways. Like there's traps that are being set. So it's not all like completely intentional on the actual villain's part. Then they get kidnapped and some other stuff happens. But what it develops into, I would say after the first 45 minutes, I really enjoyed the story that they tried to tell. It plays pretty generic for the first probably hour of this movie. And then the next hour is actually really interesting. It's really interesting how they develop the story. I don't really want to spoil what goes on, but just how they kind of intermingle with the civilization and the stuff that happens after that. And then the stuff that happens at the very end, I actually found to be very compelling and actually a really good character arc for this main character, the girl that's in it. So the girl that's in it, her name is, I think, Charlotte Vega. She does a really good job. She plays, like I said, pretty generic in the beginning, but she develops very nicely and actually comes into her own in this role. And I think she does a pretty good job as far as her performance. Yeah, I did enjoy this movie quite a bit. I do recommend watching it, but you're going to have to wait and find out if I actually recommend this for pickup. So let me share my score real quick, guys. Let me share my score. And like I said, if you're in the comments commenting, I will get to your comments, but I'm going to wait until after I actually do the review first, and then I will get to your comments. So let's see. All right. All right. Now I'll make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it a little bit better. So as for the actual movie, guys, like I said, I liked it a lot. Not great. I liked it a lot. I think that the second half is definitely stronger than the first half. So I give it a 3.5 out of 5. As for the packaging on this release, it's a pretty standard, pretty generic packaging. It is Lionsgate that released this. So like I said, I like it because it's like an A24 style, but it's not anything like super awesome or anything, just a regular Blu-ray case. No reversible cover art or nothing cool like that. So I give it a 3.5 out of 5 for the actual packaging. For the visuals, guys, of this, so it's a very kind of it's very toned down, like visually, like it's in 1080p, so it looks really good. But as far as like the aesthetic, it's really dull, it's really dreary, so it doesn't really pop really visually. So I do give it a 4.5 out of that, even though I think it's just the movie's visual aesthetic, though, more than anything. As far as the audio, I would give that a 4.4 out of 5. I think it's really good, really solid. The special features right here are solid as well. So with this one, you get a making of this movie, which is actually pretty cool. And then after that, trying to see, you get a deleted and extended scenes. You get some Wrong Turn promotional trailer. You get the feature-length audio commentary with director Mike P. Nelson. So you do get a lot of additional features in this one. So I don't think it's as good as Host. I think that Host special features have way more cool stuff to dig into, but I'll give it a 4 out of 5 for an overall score of a 3.75 out of 5. Now, one thing to note, like I said, this is the same price as Host is. It's about $15 right now. If you go to Walmart now, if you use my Amazon affiliate link down below, it is $17. So even though it'll help the channel if you use that affiliate link, I do think it's important to tell you guys that it's at Walmart right now for 15 bucks. So even though it would help me if you use the link down below to purchase this title, it is available for 15 bucks at Walmart as well if you want to check that out there. So do I recommend that you purchase this? I would recommend this for a purchase. I would kind of maybe wait for the deal on this one. I do think it's an interesting release, though, and one that might just go up in price over time. But I think it's worth about $12 to $13. But yeah, I don't know about 17. I don't know about 17. I don't know, to be quite honest, how often I'm going to return to this and watch it again. So, but yeah, for the overall release, it's a 3.75 out of 5, a mild to good recommendation. Just don't know if I would recommend paying the full price for this release, even though it's not too expensive. It's not too bad. So let's go into your guys' comments and see if you guys got anything to say. So let's see. Patrick Grant says, I got to get going now. Have a good night. Well, I appreciate you joining me, Patrick. If you can catch the replay, I would sure appreciate it. On the other title I'm going to go over here in a second. Fanatic 101 says, I really liked the new Wrong Turn. I think it was a good idea to do away with the cannibals because they basically became a laughing stock in the sequels. The remake is the perfect but still good. Yeah, I'll say that this one resonated with me a lot better than the cannibal version of this franchise. So if they continue this on this style and this story up until like a part 6, I would be more on board for this than I was the original Wrong Turn series, even though I enjoy the first Wrong Turn movie for what it is. But I think that that's actually a legitimately good horror movie. So Manny Legault said, I really liked the new Wrong Turn. I personally loved the first 2 Wrong Turn movies, but I really loved how this one was much different from the others. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the Wrong Turn movies other than the first one and this remake. So Daniel Ortero is here. What's up, Ken? Just finished my live stream. Just joined yours, man. Y'all just got done with your live stream? Damn, y'all went all night with that, didn't you? Yeah, man, I appreciate you joining. Fanatic 101, none of the sequels have characters taking wrong turns after the first one. Really? So that was just with the first one that they took a wrong turn. The other ones, they took all the right turns. They just, bad situation, I guess. The new Wrong Turn is awesome. I enjoyed it. Awesome, man. I'm glad you enjoyed that movie. Daniel Ortega has like awesome unboxings on his channel too, so definitely check him out. I think he unboxed the Wrong Turn one last week. How long is that movie? So the movie, this is another kind of sort of negative with this release. It's 2 hours, and I think it's a little bit too long for what this movie is. I think they could have shaved 20 minutes off of it a little bit less like wandering around, jerking each other off in the woods. Would have been nice, and maybe they could have cleaned it down to maybe about a 135 runtime. I think it would have made for a better flowing movie. So that's just my opinion. Charlotte Vega felt like a female Rambo in the third act. Yeah, she was really good in the movie. I didn't love her in the first act, but I thought she developed nicely within the film. Fanatic 101 said, our final girl was badass, and I was rooting for her the whole time. The credit scene was so satisfying. Yeah, that credit scene is good. Make sure you stay for that. I don't know if it's a post credit or not. I don't remember if they flow right into it, if they cut to like black and then come back. But yeah, definitely stay for the after credits, because that after credit scene is pretty badass. I will agree with that. All right, so let's go ahead, guys, and get into we got Fanatic 101 said, I'd rank them as 1 remake, 2, 5, and 4, and 3 is horde, and 6 is basically porn with gore. So yeah, porn with gore. That sounds like a real winner right there. All right, so let's go ahead and get to this next one. This next one we're going to talk about is random acts of violence. So I just finished this one, I think around 4 or 5 today. I just finished the special features actually right before I went live. That's why it took me so long tonight to go live. I was trying to debate on whether or not I was even going to do it. But I finished it just in time. I'm like, I'll go ahead and go live and talk about it. So, all right, so let's go ahead and share this image right here. Okay, so random acts of violence. This is one that I think got released. I want to say it was 2 weeks ago. I don't think it was last week, but I picked it up last week. But I think it was the week before that it actually got an in-store release. So I actually dug this movie quite a bit. I thought it was pretty awesome. Now, one thing to note about this film is that it's directed by Jay Baruchel, who also acts in the film as well. If you don't know who that is, I would say that he's in a lot of Judd Apatow movies. He's right there in the corner right there. He's the voice of Hiccup in the How to Train Your Dragon films as well. He was in This Is the End. He's like one of the main characters in that one. So he's known primarily for comedy, even though he has directed before another comedy film called Goon. Not really familiar with those films, though I haven't seen them. I've heard of them, but I haven't seen them. So this isn't his first time directing, but I thought he did a really solid job, and I listened to his interview that he did on here as a special feature, and he's been a horror action fan his whole life, and it shows in this film. Like I said with the other one, this isn't like an outstanding production. This isn't like greatness or anything, but I think it's really good and really solid, and this is only $13 in Best Buy right now. It's $13 on Amazon as well, and for that price, I do recommend. I'm just gonna go right into it before giving my scores. I do recommend picking this up because I dug it quite a bit. And yeah, it's a really cool story. This is based on a graphic novel from 2010 as well. I believe it, yeah, it came out in 2010. So yeah, it's real like comic booky. Like it opens up actually with some like graphic kind of animation. It has like the comic book style. It reminded me a little bit of that opening of Creepshow, like of Creepshow, just the way that it did the comic book panel stuff and just the kind of lettering in the bubbles and the blocks and stuff like that. So this is a movie that it's about a horror graphic novelist. I think he writes, I think it's graphic novels or comics or something. And it's called, what is it called? Slasher Man. So he writes these Slasher Man comic books. And basically he's basing the comic books off of something that happened in real life. And then the real life thing starts to kind of meld into, his fantasy world as well, and the two are kind of coming together at the same time. And what's happening in his comic books is happening in real life, so it's kind of like art imitating life, imitating art. And it's this really weird thing of how he was inspired by this slasher, and then when he started writing the slasher comics, like he went dormant, and then he came back when this comic series went to a close. So yeah, it's this really kind of cool, interesting story. And one of the things I enjoy most about it is just how it really kind of dives deep into how desensitized we can get sometimes with our violence, with our gore, with our horror movies, how we don't even really pay attention to the people that get killed in the movies, but we're more fixated and focused on the villains like Freddy or Jason. So it goes into that and actually provides a really nice kind of commentary to that as well. So I did enjoy those aspects of the film. So Random Acts of Violence, don't sleep on it. I think it's not a generic title. I think there's some really interesting stuff to this movie. You also have Jordana Brewster in this film. You have Jesse Williams, who my wife was actually walking by as I was watching, and she was like, "Oh, that's the guy from Grey's Anatomy." I don't know him from that, but he was in Cabin in the Woods, directed by Drew Goddard a few years ago. So I know him from that. So it's a really good cast. It's got some terrific gore in it. It's got tons of really good gore, tons of really good like after crime scene type gore scenes that are really cool. It kind of reminded me of Seven a little bit, just how they were staged. There's another film I'm trying to think of off the top of my head, Zodiac or something like that. So it's kind of like a crime thriller a little bit, just the way that some of the stuff is staged. Also True Detective. But yeah, some really good gore in this movie. The finale of it is really strong. And yeah, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. So let me get into my actual score of it real quick. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed any of these movies, if you want to talk about them, let me know in the comments section. We'll talk about them after. I don't know how many people have actually checked out Random Acts of Violence, but I do think that it's worth a watch for sure. All right, so all right, so got my score right there, guys, and I'll bring it up a little bit bigger. So for the movie, I give it the same as Wrong Turn. Like I said, I think it's really solid, not a masterpiece or anything, but I do think it has a lot of really interesting things to say about the horror genre and just the way that we consume it and perceive it as a whole. So I would give that a 3.5 out of 5 for the actual movie. For the packaging, I think this has a really awesome, cool slipcover to it. I really like this slipcover, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, even though I was disappointed because I thought that Host might have been the first one in the new wave of RLJE titles that started including like reversible cover art. So I was disappointed to open this up and it didn't receive any reversible cover art, but there's the disc right there. So I do enjoy the fact that it has artwork on the disc. RLJE does a really good job of their presentation. I think they're really stepping up their game. I think they're getting better. Of course, they released other titles like Mandy, Color Out of Space, Brawl and Cell Block 99. They've been doing really good work for a long time, but they're really kind of stepping it up a notch, I think, recently with these releases. So for the packaging, yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5. The visuals in this one, like I said, it has some really interesting, like just kind of converging and melding of like the comic book and the graphic novel and the real life. And I just think it really has a cool aesthetic and color palette to it all throughout. So I think it's really interesting. I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5. I thought visually fantastic. Of course, it's in 1080p. As for the audio, there is some weird scores, some really loud scores, like during, in particular, like parts, real dramatic moments in the scene, like where they're talking or screaming, and you can't really hear what they're trying to say because they ratchet up the actual sound mix of the score and just the music in the background. So for the audio, I probably give it a 3.5 out of 5 for that, because I don't think it's the strongest as the other two that I've covered here tonight. For the special features, like I said, there is a 36 minute long interview with Jay Baruchel, just about how he got into directing horror, because after being primarily a comedy guy. A really interesting interview. One thing I'll say about that interview, though, is, I know he, smokes and gets high a lot, but he's like baked that entire interview. He has to be, because he's real groggy, and he's like looking down while he's talking. He's still like talking very intellectually and really giving some really intriguing, interesting, thought-provoking commentary on his film, but he's high as fuck that whole interview, but it was still a really good interview, though. So other things they got like a 6 minute long making of featurette. They got just talking about how this film is more than just a scary movie. So yeah, for the special features, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. It doesn't knock it out of the park like I think Host does, but it has a really good amount of special features. So I would give it a 4 out of 5 for that. So all right, guys. So for the over for this one, guys, a 4 out of 5. Right now, you can get this, like I said, on Amazon for $13. You can buy it in Best Buy like I did a couple of weeks ago for $13. To me, it is absolutely worth that price just for what you're getting with the packaging, and the actual film itself is really good, the special features. So for this one, this is a solid recommendation. I do recommend picking this up. And if you guys do pick this up, because I imagine that more people probably saw the first two titles that I talked about other than this one, but I do think it's an important one to talk about. So yeah, if you do want to check this out based on my recommendation, if you would use those Amazon affiliate links below, I would greatly appreciate it, because every time you use one of those, it does help the channel out. So all right, guys, I don't know if I just got cut out of the stream or not, but I am back right now. So we got a couple of people in here right now. I don't know if I brought Patrick up. He said, that's why I like animated Scooby-Doo movies, because they're super short. Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of the animated Scooby-Doo films, though. But 4K Media Guy says, what is good, Ken? Just joining in. Glad you could be here tonight, man. I appreciate it. Watch yours and Daniel's stream earlier. I recommend all of you guys go check those two out. Really good stream, really good conversation. Patrick Coran said, I just picked up This Is the End today. That is a good film. It is a good comedy. I do enjoy that movie quite a bit. I think that the 45 minutes of that movie are super strong and hilarious, and I think it kind of turns more into like this post-apocalyptic parody type movie after that. I don't enjoy it as much, even though I like it, but I just don't enjoy it as much as those first 45 minutes. I enjoyed all of these movies. My favorite was Wrong Turn, then Random Acts of Violence, and lastly Host. They are all worth watching, in my opinion. They are all worth owning on Blu-ray. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed all these movies. Like I said, their Host to me is like a little bit farther ahead. If I was to rank them, I would do probably Host, and then I would go. I'd probably go Wrong Turn after that. And then I would go Random Acts of Violence. Just going off of the movies and the films themselves, I would do it probably in that order. But I think they're all solid horror titles, and yeah, that's why I felt kind of excited to just get on here live with you guys tonight and talk about these titles, because I think that they're all really interesting. And I think that coming off of last year, I was disappointed by a lot of horror films that I watched last year, and I'm really hoping that horror picks it up a notch in 2021. So, and it looks like we're off to a pretty decent start. So I might be doing more stuff like this, because I got that Scare Me movie lately. I still have The Dark and the Wicked that I need to watch. So I might be doing more RLJE reviews, Lionsgate reviews, The Wolf of Snow Hollow as well. So I might do another thing like this, because I actually think this is pretty cool, just this format. So if you guys like this, me doing it like this, just leave me a comment down below and let me know. AM21, hello, how are you doing? What's up, man? Just doing some live Blu-ray reviews. And one thing, guys, is because I'm doing this live, it doesn't mean that I'm not doing like regular video reviews. I've still got a video review of Coming to America coming out probably Friday to match the same day release of Coming to America 2. So I will be reviewing that 4K of Coming to America on Friday. This is just an easy way to kind of knock out multiple Blu-ray releases at once and just kind of talk about them in this way, because yeah, to be honest, I really like these movies and I did want to talk about them. So if nobody's got anything else to say, I appreciate everybody coming out tonight and joining me for these live Blu-ray reviews. Anybody that watches the replay of these reviews, I appreciate it as well. And one thing that I didn't ask the entire stream, if you guys could, if you could hit that like button, and it really helps these videos out, helps move them up those YouTube algorithms and get more eyes on the channel, help out the channel. So again, guys, really appreciate it. If this is your first time finding me here on the Mid-Level Media channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on all those bell notifications for future videos. But yeah, if you saw any of these films, if you're interested in any of these films, comment down below your thoughts on them. And like I said, I've got links for all of these releases down below that you can purchase through my Amazon affiliate link. So definitely appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Grizz84, what is up, man? We are just ending the stream, but I appreciate you being here. So yeah, random acts of violence, guys. Wrong Turn, Host. They are all horror films that are absolutely worth your time and ones that I do recommend. So check them out for sure. But with that, guys, we will see you